Howdy y'all. So in case you didn't know, I like Factorio. I play it a lot. Not really going to make a let's play series out of it or anything like I do with Zomboid. The goal for this video is mostly, I just wanted to show off what I had to some of my buddies. And I figured, yeah, let's throw it out there in the public world, it won't matter. Can't do any harm, you know. So, this video is mostly going to be a base showcase. My goal for this base, or this save, was I wanted to get every achievement that wasn't a speedrunning achievement, and I did so. So I have every achievement in the game, most of them gotten with this factory, except for the speedrunning ones, which I used blueprints from this factory to do, but that was a different save. Anyway, we'll get started here. I'll start with, the starter base that I built here, which is kind of up here. We landed at the ship here, obviously, so our starting resource patches are nearby. They're all gone now. It's been a while. But yeah, so we'll start here with the starter base. So I built, look at the map here real quick. Built this megafactory over here, right? But this doesn't just spring up out of nowhere. I had to build a starter base to get all the materials I needed to build this thing, which I then used to get all the achievements. So right now we're over here at the starter base. I have my ship still. I kept it. I did not destroy it, even for those eight clips that were in it. Wasn't worth it. I also got my first car and my first tank here. I got a Spidertron, but we'll take the Spidertron around later. Alright, so starting off, started with this starter base here. So this entire base I built without any blueprints at all. It was all just built by hand. To just get myself started, get a rocket silo built, and then start working on the mega factory over there. So this starter base actually has the first iteration, or the first use of the bus, the concept of the bus. So I use the concept of the bus all the time. It's the best way to move resources around, I think. But it's basically just a centralized place where you throw all your resources on a set of belts. This set of 8 or 9 belts here. And then you feed it up into your factory to wherever it's needed. You'll split stuff off. So like here I've got... like here we'll split stuff off to go over wherever it needs to. And then keep going up the belt. So I built all these little research modules as I've unlocked the researches, and kept expanding the belt and adding more of these little research modules as we went. And then back at the bottom of the bus you got your inputs. So I had red circuits, green circuits, copper, and iron coming in from these smelting arrays, and they all just went right onto the bus and into the factory. Looks like I had a steel module down here somewhere too. Yeah. So yeah, I got all my inputs, threw them on the bus, took stuff off the bus as I needed it, such as for these red potions, green potions, and then all of them get fed down in here into my research labs, which these aren't running because I have gutted most of this factory. I haven't deleted everything, but like a lot of the requester chests and random robot stuff, and various chests full of resources I've gutted and used for the other base over time. The one important thing I wanted to show for these starter base is the circuit network I have to shut down modules when we have enough of the research. So everything is restricted by the circuit network. The circuit network I have run over to a collection chest. It was over here. Like I said, I've gutted it. Everything would run over to a collection chest over here, and the circuit network would measure that chest and shut down the various modules when we have enough of that research. So like, it's not just going to be sitting here cranking out purple research if the greens and reds are used up and not enough. So it won't just keep wasting resources on things we don't need. So I use that same concept over in the mega factory on a bigger scale. Something I generally try to do with all my factories is shut stuff down when it's not needed. Alright, so started with the starter base. It's all quite a bit of a mess, but like I said, I just left it here for sentimental value. Like add an extra circuit module on here because we needed more greens at this point on the belt. So all this stuff got me to the point where I was able to research a rocket silo. I'll try to run through here. Hopefully I don't get hit by a train. Okay. And I built my rocket silo over here separately from the factory, and I actually had, you know what, I switched to the bus or the map, so I have to keep running around. I actually had a manual switch somewhere around here that I would stop running all the resources up the bus, and I would actually switch them over to run all over to my rocket factory. So like this factory had two modes. It was research mode or make a rocket mode. So the rocket silo here, I think on the map you can still see it. Oh, I've connected it up, but I had this all in its own logistic network, separate from the factory, so the robots wouldn't pass back and forth between them. It would just use whatever resources it had within to build the rockets. You know, I put speed modules on all kinds of things. We got a bunch of rocket fuel and stuff, but this was very, very slow. You know, it was definitely a starter silo. And because it was so slow, I had to expand and make the mega factory. But this was definitely good enough to get our first rocket out there, get the first couple researches, and be able to move on from there. So this whole rocket silo was robot based. The robots moved around most everything, other than the stuff that was directly needed for circuits. Like I've taken out the chests, but let's see where they were outputting. They were outputting the chests here. The robots would come and pick up everything and move it around. Same with this. Like I said, I've gutted this section. So like the requester chest is gone. A bunch of the chests are all gone, just to save resources, use them on the other factory. So yeah, once I had my rocket silo all set, able to launch a few rockets. Let's hope we don't get hit by a train. I then set up this section over here. I got coal liquefaction going on, so we could get a little bit extra oil. I set this section up over here, which also splits off the bus. Is made for giving me all the resources that I would need to build the actual mega factory. So like all my grabbers, all my explosives, turrets, modules, all that crap. It's all getting built over here. So I can just run over. I had the logistics requests in my inventory. Like this. Yeah, I guess we're out of nukes. Not surprising. I had all the logistics requests, so I could run over from building stuff over here, run across the line over to this logistic network, and all the robots would come out, give me all the stuff, and then I could just run back and keep building. Very useful to just get my materials out there. But then I also used this thing. This is the warstation. So I used this train to claim my initial territory. So if you take a look in, the train's backwards right now. It's got a fluid wagon it's supposed to get heavy oil from, and then it's got all of these inputs for it. Right? And the way it works is the trains you can reserve slots for your various different stuff. So I've reserved slots for all the things that could get put into this train. And the theory was, let me see if I still actually have one of these stations. East Wall 1. Yeah, the theory was I had a blueprint for these stations. The train would come in, it would unload all the stuff into requester chests, and it actually was able to load robots into a roboport. So this stuff I would build with my Spidertron. I would have my Spidertron walk out here, build all this stuff, and then I could send the war train from the war station out here to resupply it with everything it needs to build a wall. So I'd have all the wall supplies, you know, we got the walls and the artillery and the pipes and everything. So I'd have everything it needs to build a wall, send the train out here, and it would actually start constructing the wall with the robots. I had blueprints for the walls too. That worked pretty well. And this train had 2 modes actually, so I have this chest connected to the circuit network, and if I put my artillery targeting remote in there, let's see, yeah, enable condition artillery targeting remote greater than 0. So this train had 2 modes. There's basically the first build mode and the resupply mode. So if I put my controller in there, it would do it with first build mode, and it would put in like all the robots, the chests, and you know, all this, the robo ports, everything you need to initially build. But then if I took it out and the train came back to the station, it would only load things they would need for resupply, so wall parts, ammunition, especially artillery ammunition, that kind of stuff. So those things weren't restricted; they always go into the train. So after I had built this station and it started building the wall, I could just keep sending resupplies out with more ammo, more wall stuff to keep it going. That worked pretty well initially. I used it to claim all of my first territory. So like we had a station here, east wall. I had a station up here with a wall. A station down here at south wall. South wall is still there actually. But it would unload all the heavy oil, which I'm using for the flamethrowers. Doing it with robots now. But we'd unload the heavy oil, pump it into the turrets, and then we'd have this typical configuration of wall, gun turret, laser turret, flame turret. And I got repeating blueprints for this. I build these kind of walls all the time. And this will keep the biters out 100%, no problem. So yeah, I built the south wall, built another one. East wall 1, so I had a wall over here. I think I had a wall over here somewhere, but I removed the station. And yeah, so I basically claimed, from this starter base, I basically claimed all this territory initially that encapsulates my starter base and where I wanted to build the megafactory, and some of the extra resources that I was going to need, like some of these random resource patches. So yeah, with that done, I could move on to the megafactory. So let's head over there. Take this train. The train is set to automatically take me places. Well, just between this war station and the other war station. So the rail system that we're on right now, and the city blocks that I used, I shamelessly stole from another YouTuber named Nilaus, who I will put a description to, or a link to in the description. But we're getting hold up right now. Yeah, the rail station or system's not entirely perfect. Every now and then I'll have to move a train like this if the factory's not using up enough of their stuff. So hop off at the station here. We are now at the megafactory. So yeah, like I said, I shamelessly stole the city blocks, which I have a blueprint for here, and the rail system from another YouTuber named Nilaus. So take a look at that. So the city blocks that he made are super nice because they have absolute thing. Let me see. Yeah, absolute grid that he set. And I downloaded this from like Pastebin or wherever Nilaus made his blueprints available from. And they've been super useful. So like this city block has these repeating patterns, so you can just keep plopping them down. And in fact, I think I need to claim some new territory right now. I can show. There we go. Oh, no, not yet. No power. We'll look at that in a little bit. But basically, these city blocks, you can just kind of slap them down as blueprints, one after the other, and they perfectly line up with each other. It's super handy. And then I also stole the rail system, like I said, the 4-rail system here that generally 90% of the time works perfectly good. Except sometimes, you know, like I said, I'll have to tell the train to head over to a siding. I don't have the signals quite entirely right yet. So I started with the city block pattern and the rail system. I didn't have all of these rail stations immediately. But then the first thing I built was the bus again. So we'll jump out of the map here. Start all the way up at the top. I got these paths that I can run a little bit faster on, which are nice. So yeah, the idea is the center of the megafactory here is the bus. It's got all of these resource lines that we get from the various inputs that go on the bus. So, for example, we have a copper module over here. It's just a crap load of furnaces with modules. And it gets copper ore from trains. I use trains to bring in all the resources to the megafactory. And it'll just unload the trains into chests, so we got a nice buffer here. Off the chests onto the bus, or onto the line, into the smelters, and onto the bus. But anyway, everything comes onto the bus from these various modules. So I have input modules and I have output modules, for the most part. These output modules, like all these furnaces, they get fed by trains. Everything comes onto the bus. And then from the bus, we split it off to wherever it is needed. So, like over here, we've got copper getting split off into a green circuit build, where it puts green circuits onto the bus, and then we have all the green circuits we could possibly need. You would think. You can never have enough green circuits. Same deal for the research. So yeah, everything comes down on the bus to these various modules. You know what? I'm going to switch to the map at this point, so I'm not just running all over the place. And I've put the symbols on the map of basically what everything is. So we've got copper smelting, iron smelting, steel smelting, green circuits. So it takes copper and steel off, and it puts green circuits back on. Over here is my military module. This is where I build everything for my walls and ammunition and all that stuff. So we got bricks getting made into walls, green shooting things, red shooting things, yellow shooting things, a bunch of artillery, all of our rockets. It's my Spidertrons, use a crap load of rockets, and everything I need for the military. And most of the stuff will go into passive provider chests, and will shut down when they're full. So it's not just constantly making stuff. It only makes stuff when it needs it. Just like everything else in my factory. So got green circuit build over here. And everything I made optimized to the math that the UI tells you. So like, it'll say that copper stuff, let's find an example. Copper can be made in 3.2 seconds of crafting time. And it makes one copper ore, makes one copper plate. So I did all the math and everything, basically, to have this be perfectly balanced so that it's always going to be producing enough resources for the next stage in the line. And then the final stage should be producing a max belt full of resources, however much a belt can carry. So lots of math. So I got my military over here, got my greens over here. I got a red circuit build up here, and I've kind of slapped on a few other things with it along the way, like battery production for these accumulators, which I needed, some sulfuric acid production, some solar panels, and that kind of stuff. So a few utility modules, but this is mostly a red circuit build. Over here we got steel. So you can never have enough steel, so I actually brought in its own dedicated train. This is the steel train down here. And it unloads into some furnaces to make iron. The iron then goes directly into steel. The iron doesn't go onto the bus at all, because we got the iron from the other side. And this was finally enough to have enough steel for what I needed. A little bit further down, I've got my utility modules. So this is where I make all of the stuff that I build with. And I also got huge robo storage. We'll get to the robo storage later. So yeah, we're making robo ports, we're making robots, we're making belts, we're making everything you could possibly want. And this one's got like a real janky belt. I basically just pull in 4 belts of everything and then just lead it in one giant loop all the way around to produce everything. Because not every machine in here should be running all at once. It's only when we need... How many of these? Okay. It's only when we need something and the robots come and like pick up all these purple grabbers, then the purple grabber machine. But not every machine should be running at once, and that's how I could get away with just having these 4 belts just feed everything all the way around. You know, I can mostly get away with it, except for iron. Should probably pump some more iron into here. So yeah, that's the utility module. So pretty much all of this stuff that I order in the logistics network comes from here. So yeah, we got extra steel here, the belt's still going along. We should have most of the resources that we use on the bus by now. So yeah, I got a blue circuit build. Take a look at that. Blue circuit build. I made a lot of blue circuits. Maybe a few too many. But you can never have enough of those either. So, you know. So yeah, again, grabbing resources off the belt, putting it through processing, putting resources back on. So at this point we should have everything. We got blues, we got copper, stone. I've been using a lot of landfill, so I think that's what this is going towards. Yeah, landfill. I actually put batteries on the bus too, because you use batteries in a ton of different things. You know, I'll split the batteries off and use them wherever they need. Got reds and greens, coal, iron, steel. And then all of our fluids. I can check our fluid levels by looking at the circuit network here. Further on the right, so we got 46K of all the different fluids. So yeah, utility module, and then it moves on to the research. I got 2 research blocks here, and then the rocket silo too. And I didn't have enough copper for the rocket silo, so I just put another copper module here, just most of the way down the belt, because this one, not enough copper was making it down. So I needed 2 copper modules to feed everything, which is fine. So then for the research, you know, same typical thing. I'm actually going to walk over to the research real quick, so you guys can see some of the restrictions. So yeah. Got all these making their potions, and I don't actually restrict these grabbers. I use the belt, you know, like a manifold system. So I don't have a huge buffer of these research packs, other than just what is on the belt, which is, I mean, plenty. Look. So once the belt fills up, the machine's shut down. Won't need to build anymore. So this is like a good example of it manifolding here. It needed greens for a little while, so it just started throwing them out. And then it's going to fill up and these machines will shut down. So yeah, all these research modules, again, I did the math to try to balance perfectly so that they can always have their maximum output at all times. And I put a few productivity modules in there too, just squeeze our resources a little bit. And all of them, all the research comes out on these belts. The belts come over to our actual research labs. And again, kind of like the utility place, I just put it all on one belt, feed it all past every single machine. And let them do the research. Rocket silo looks like it's struggling a little bit. Usually it keeps up just fine. Let's go take a look over at that. Oh yeah, I got my uranium process in here. We'll get to the power system in a little bit. Get the uranium train in, we process the uranium, and then we kovarex the uranium. I'll cover the kovarex when we get to the power system. I got some coal liquefaction just in case. This should basically never run because we're going to have enough from the oil production. Which oil production we'll cover after the rocket silo here. So yeah, rocket silo should have everything it needs to just continuously run. You can see it's working. Rocket part 72. Take a look at this. So it should just continually produce rocket parts without stopping. We should have enough stuff coming in to keep that going. I also keep a decent buffer of parts here. So all of these chests are full of the different rocket parts, so that this can basically never get ahead of the processing. And same manifold idea, I'm not restricting these machines with their grabbers. I'm just having them not able to work when the belt is full. So it just keeps full belts, keeps building rocket parts, and it should be able to build them continuously. It looks like this particular research just uses a lot of these white science packs. The rocket silo here is restricted to only run if we have less than 2,000 of the space pack, or space science pack. So I'm not continuously just making rockets over and over again and wasting all of our resources. Alright, so that's the rocket silo. We'll run over to the oil production, because I got a decent controller on that I'd like to show you guys. So running up the path here. Oil production should be over here somewhere. Yep, so we got our oil train that comes in. You can see it's slowly unloading it. I mean, you can't really see, but you can see the pumps are working. Right. So the oil trains come in here, they unload the crude. Don't get hit by a train. Okay. Should use the Spidertron. Then we got crude storage here. I've got them all hooked up to a circuit network so I can just see how much is in there. If you hook all the tanks up, you just hover over this and say, I have 143,000 oil. Very good. Then the oil comes up here into the actual oil production. So, zoom in here after I get around it. So we have our refineries. They're doing the three gas refining. So it splits oil and water into these three gases, which then go over to, don't get hit by a train, our oil tanks. And the oil tanks are all hooked up to the circuit network on the green circuit here. So I can just, anywhere in the base, can look at this and say, yes, our fluids are all perfectly balanced. Very good. And the way I keep them all perfectly balanced is this circuit network is hooked up to these two decider combinators. This one is saying, if heavy oil is greater than light oil, give out a signal. And those combinator signals will then go to my actual balancing refineries. So like this machine will only run to split light oil into petroleum if light oil is greater than petroleum. So the whole idea is all of this just keeps my fluids perfectly balanced so that if I'm using a shitload of heavy oil, it's not going to run out and then stop all my refining because the other two fluids are full, which is a problem that you could encounter. So very happy with my oil processing here. It works quite well. Had 2 modules of light oil to petroleum, and then 1 more of heavy oil to light oil. Just to keep everything nicely balanced. Alright, now at this point, I think we should probably cover the power. So let me just look at the power network here quick. If I look at it over a 10-minute span, you have a pretty good idea of what's going on. So I'm producing a lot of power with solar, storing it in accumulators. I'm also producing a lot of power with nuclear, 104 gigawatts. So right now, this is a steam turbine. It goes over a day-night cycle. So right now it's actually daytime. It's just morning. So the solar panels will produce until they don't anymore. As the solar panels go down, the accumulators, the batteries, will power up to make up the difference. Once the nuclear power plants have all powered up completely and are at full capacity, then the accumulators make up the difference, and it's enough to get us to when the solar panels get back to full capacity again. Let's take a look at the map here. These are all solar panels, so I needed that achievement. Solaris, what was it? It's here. Yeah, produce more than 10 gigajoules per hour using only solar panels. So I needed a lot of solar panels for this one. Otherwise, I generally just power everything off of nuclear. So yeah, I've got all these solar panel modules that I also stole from Nilaus. It's just solar panels and batteries, and not all of these actually have batteries in them too. Some of them are just solar panels. But I have enough batteries that I can cover my power needs overnight, basically. And then for the nuclear, I actually built this nuclear reactor at the starter base once I had the technology researched. And I liked it so much that I copied it and I made 1, 2, 3 more. But pretty basic, 4 reactors next to each other. They get their nuclear fuel from the robot network. They'll only power up at night, generally, so they're not using too much fuel. But these just stay hot all the time, keep the heat pipes hot. And I did math and experimentation to basically get maximum capacity out of this without draining all the heat, so that the thing will lose generation capacity, because that is a problem. The nuclear plants, if you're pulling too much heat out, these pipes get too cool to actually power the heat exchangers, which could be a problem. Yeah, so I got 4 of these nuclear plants, and then a whole crap load of solar. And it covers our power needs quite nicely. Go over 1 hour. Yeah, like sometimes if we're using a lot of power at night, the accumulators got to put out a little bit more, but we've got 117 gigajoules stored for use overnight, which seems like a lot, but this will actually mostly get used up. I'll take a look at this when it gets night again and show you guys. So you may be wondering, how did you actually build all this stuff? Yeah. So I started with the layout of the factory. I had the rail network all the way around the what I wanted to be the mega base, and then all of these modules I actually built myself without blueprints. Although some things, some things, if I knew I was going to be building a lot of, I would take blueprints and use them. So, I might as well show you my blueprint book at this point. So these are all the blueprints I have just for my day-to-day, doing usual stuff. So we've got a 4-lane balancer here. This is also from Nilaus. Super useful and nice. I use it all the time. Like everywhere, every single rail unloader and loader has one. Anywhere that we need to just balance the belts out, I'll put one of these things in. Furnace array, this was an old one. It doesn't have the modules. Remote base. So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier when I sent the war train out. This was the station for the war train. So it had all these, it had its own artillery, it had all these storage chests, it could load robots into the robo network and unload oil too for the flamethrower turrets. It's very nice, although a little bit too manual intensive, so I gave up on it. It's a production module. Miners, I still use this one all the time. Just paste one mining machine after another anytime you need resources. I got all of my wall blueprints. So this is a stacking wall. You can stack it one over another and just make one long continuous wall. I got a corner. Got an inner corner. Got the full wall. This one's I use this the most nowadays. It includes a whole bunch of wall, but it also includes the an ammo loading station, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. I mean, just look at one. But it's just a requester chest giving ammo, and a requester chest giving oil. But the full wall includes this little section here so that it can all get fed the right ammunition it needs. So that's super helpful when I'm claiming new territory. I just plop this down, call it a day. Single lane balancer, yeah, balances one belt, useful. Station, so I got all my rail stuff here. Station, the corner, a T-junction. I think I actually didn't use these ones. Yeah, this is the basic 2 rail. I used a 4 rail from the Laos. We got the city block, solar, artillery module, an ore station, or a train loading station, basically, for a single wagon. Yeah, I don't use that either. But like, these are things that I knew I had to build many of repeatedly, so I just kept them around. The kovarex, oh yeah, I never showed you guys the kovarex. Go take a look at that. In case you don't know how to do the kovarex processing, I'll show you. It's pretty easy. Over here, this is 4 of the same module. So we've got a circuit network connected to a chest and 2 grabbers with this 3 chest array. So you got your kovarex machine here. It needs 40 uranium-235, and then it produces 41. So you get 1 extra U-235 whenever the kovarex process runs. That kind of makes a problem because you need to load the 40 uranium back in here and only keep the 1 that you produced. That's the way I do that. This one is unrestricted, so whenever this thing produces, it'll just load everything into this chest. This chest is connected to the green network. Green network is connected to this inserter. So this will only run if there is no uranium-235 in there. And I've also restricted its stack size to 1. No, that was the other one. This one I restricted to 1. So this one will only run if uranium-235 is 0. This will run if U-235 is 0. This one will run if U-235 is 1, but it's connected to the red network, which is connected to this chest. So green network, it's on this chest. Red network is on this chest. And if you watch what happens, see, it's close to finishing. Basically what it does is it loads everything into this chest and pulls 1 U-235 out. Loads all the rest of them back in there. And then when it's done, it spits out the U-235 into the storage network. So I'll go through these inserters one at a time, just so in case you want to reproduce this. So these ones are not connected to the network. Chest not connected to the network. This grabber is to the red network. This chest connected to the red network. This grabber connected to the green network. Got it. So that's the kovarex, and I got 4 of those run-ins. It's still not producing enough U-235 for all the nukes I'm using. I think. Oh no, I got enough nukes now. That's good. Yeah, it can barely keep up with the amount that I sling nukes around. So yeah, that covers most of the mega base here. In order to get the circuit achievement, it's the one that produced 20 million circuits. Yeah, produced 20 million electronic circuits. That is a lot, let me tell you. I built this whole entire build over here with iron ore, 2 iron ores, copper. They're getting oil and coal over here to produce the various materials it needs for that. I think this was coal liquefaction. But this was all just one giant circuit build to build a whole crapload of these green circuits, which I still have a whole ton of them over here. I should transfer these over to the main base at some point. But in order to use those green circuits, I also have a red circuit build here, which I then connected to a train to bring over to the factory, because you can never have enough red circuits, right? So I connected it to a train, which just drops it off over here onto the belt. So yeah, once I had gotten that achievement and all the other achievements, basically, I started wondering, well, what should I do with this factory? I kind of want to keep playing it. It's really cool, really fun. So I thought, why don't I take over the world? Well, I'm not going to take over the world because I took over a whole lot of it, and then I was like, how big is the world anyway? So I took a Spidertron on a trip, and it just goes, and goes, and goes. I forgot how big I made the world. So I'm not taking over the world. So I was like, well, if I can't take over the world, maybe I'll just take over my pollution plume, which I now own all of my pollution plume. You don't get attacked by biters, getting annoyed by pollution anymore. How did I do that, though? Well, if you take a look at the logistics networks, I came up with this idea on my own and built it myself, so I don't know if this is a common thing out there on the internet that I'm about to show you guys, but I've made basically these logistic cell networks. So each one of these logistic cells has its own inventory, and its inventory gets restored from the cell behind it using robots. So all of this is just robo network. And it starts at the factory and it propagates outward to each cell. The way I do that is with these little cell network inventory mover things. I'm sure there's probably a more elegant name for it. Oh, it's nighttime. Let's take a look at our power here. Okay, see the accumulators came on. We're getting down to 81. And it'll probably get a little bit further overnight. But anyway, these cell networks, I actually got a blueprint for them. Just down here, cell starter. Let's show you guys. It includes all of these logistics chests and actual robot balancers. So you know what? We're gonna go walk over to one. I'll bring my Spidertron over here. But the basic idea is there's a requester chest on this side, a storage chest restricted to one stack of that item on the other side. So these chests will all fill up, and as the robots come and take stuff, this chest will feed into this chest. Other robots over here will come and drop stuff off. And then I have a robo return network too. So Spidertron's not quite there, so I'll just keep showing you. All of these storage chests are unrestricted. They do not have a specific item type assigned to them. So any item or any excess of these items that cannot go into one of these restricted storage chests, everything goes into these unrestricted storage chests. And then using this circuit network, I connect those to requester chests. Now these requester chests will request everything that's in these storage chests. So any excess items, any uncategorized items get put in here, put into these requester chests, and then shoved off into the active provider chest, where then they repeat the process in the next cell until they get to the megafactory here where they get put into robo storage. I'll just go run over to one of these real quick and show you guys. And these work really good. Thanks to these things, I've been able to build and take territory and just do everything from the map, sitting in my mega base without ever having to leave. And I just send my Spidertrons around to do stuff for me. So you can see the requester chest here connected to the circuit network, sets requests, sets the logistic requests of the chest based on the signals from the circuit network. The circuit network is just connected to these unrestricted chests here. So it shoves stuff off back to the network. I think I have two. No, I only got one. I have a couple of these like extra ammo mover things for places where I know I'm going to be shooting a lot of artillery. We'll just walk back and forth, see some of the items that we got here. Everything I need to build more robo cells, anything I need to make miners, anything I need to make railroads, anything I need to defend and build walls. All that stuff is in the RoboCell network inventory. And then, like I said, I've got these discrete cells, so there's like a 1 block gap here between this cell and that cell. So this cell, goes all the way over here, all the way down to this next one, Robo Inventory Mover thing, 9,000. And we just keep doing that. This cell then connects to this cell with another one, which feeds this cell, which feeds this cell, which feeds this cell, and it just keeps branching out. So the mega factory is the central cell where I make everything and where I bring all the materials back to if I get extra materials or excess parts. And then this mega factory is connected through the cell network to all the other cells. So I can keep that inventory just propagated throughout the network without having to have my robots fly all the way from here, all the way down to here if they need to resupply something. In fact, I think, like I said, I just started claiming some new territory. I just put down the new RoboCell here. So they've filled the inventory, and then they will propagate out into this area here. I'm going to take over this area, and they'll bring the materials along as they go. In fact, I need to do one quick thing. There is one piece of manual intervention here that I have to do, which is get some logistic spots into the Roboport. So I just do one of these. Real jank. Real jank. There we go, that's enough. So this is the one-step manual intervention that I have to do. Oh, out of range of the Robo network. Put it over here. And then grab her. Oh, the robots have to fly all the way back to the cell here to get some more for some reason. So we'll check back with that in a little bit. But you can kind of see what's happening here with the cells. So these construction bots will come back. They'll grab a bunch of stuff out of this storage right here. And then you'll see the robots from the cell backwards from it come pick stuff up from their storage, bring it over, and then the cell backwards from here, pick stuff up from their storage, bring it over. So let's just see. There we go. The construction bots are finally getting there. So you see some logistics boxes on this network come out, bring stuff over. On this network, they'll just bring stuff across this cell, and this is just to limit robot flight time, so that they're not flying all over the place, and I don't need so many robots. So the cell networks worked pretty well. I also have a robo return. So each network has this regulator, robo-regulator I call it, that will put in more robots. So Y is the number of, what is it? Y is total logistics bots. So if the number of logistics bots drops below 750, this grabber will put more logistics bots into the network. Same deal with the construction bots. If it drops below 500, they'll put more in there. And I also have a return on several of these, actually, that, you know, if we get more than 760 logistics bots, it'll start taking them out and putting them back into storage. And this is important because sometimes I'll mess up and I'll connect these networks together, and their robots will get super confused and fly over to each other's networks. And then when I disconnect it, suddenly one network may have like 2/3 of the robots, and one network may only have 1/3. So this robo-regulator helps make sure that we have the proper number of robots in each cell. So let's see, we got 750, 750, 500, 501. Very good. So yeah, that's about it. This RoboCell network's working really well. There we go. See it coming along. So I've been having a lot of fun with this map, working on this megafactory. Build all this stuff, fly it all the way out as needed. And yeah. You can see some of the RoboCell network in action here. Where obviously they dropped off a whole bunch of things over here somehow. Let's see what they're dropping off right now. Robots. Yeah, dropping off a bunch of robots because we just got enough logistics spots in here for it to start working. So we can see all these robots here, all these logistics spots. They're flying over from this cell network, or from this cell nexus down to this one. And then these guys are backfilling this one, and these guys are backfilling this one, and it'll make this robo chain all the way back to my base, which is pretty cool. I like it. So yeah, I think that's it for the mega base here. If you're interested in anything else that we've made here, just drop a comment. I'd be happy to tell you all about it. So till then, catch you later. Peace.